Exactly, yes.
Yolanda, you can write the prequel because you were here with, when he was just getting started.
Yes.
Well, we both were, huh?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they want me to write one.
A tell-all book.
Tell-all, yep.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. I'm good.
No, it took too long to answer that.
My wife is barbecuing.
Oh,
All right.
Her sister and our brother-in-law, they're over, and I think they're hot dogs and hamburgers coming out.
well, wait until after the meeting to eat.
Well, I normally I would say yes, but our dog looks really hungry, and I'm not there.
Council, it's 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Right. Good evening. We will call the August 3rd, 2020 meeting of the Auburn City Council to order. The Auburn City Council meeting scheduled for today at 7 p.m. will be held virtually and telephonically. Per the Governor's Emergency Proclamation 20-28, the City of Auburn is prohibited from holding an in-person meeting at this time. City of Auburn Resolution number 5533 designates City of Auburn meeting locations for all council, board, and commission meetings as virtual. All meetings will be held virtually and telephonically until King County enters into phase 3 of Governor Inslee's Safe Start Washington's phased reopening plan. All right, if you will all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. And Sean, will you please call roll?
Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Here.
Councilmember Baggett.
Here.
Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Brown.
Excused?
Councilmember J. Raj.
Here.
Councilmember Malenga.
Here.
Councilmember Stearns.
Here.
Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Here.
All right, thank you. So I believe we do have agenda modifications tonight, Sean?
Yes, Your Honor. We're adding to the agenda motions to extend the virtual participation ability to the consent agenda.
All right, that's item G, council members. All right, we don't have any new business this evening. We have no public hearings, so we will move to audience participation. We are now holding virtual participation. Participants can submit written comments via mail, fax, or email. All written comments must be received prior to 7 p.m. on the day of the scheduled meeting and must be 350 words or less. Please mail your comments to City of Auburn, attention Sean Campbell, City Clerk, 25 Main Street, Auburn, Washington, 98001. Please fax comments to attention Sean Campbell, City Clerk, fax number 253-804-3116. Or you may also email comments to scampbell@auburnlaw.gov. Sean, we did have public comment tonight.
Yes, Your Honor, we had 2 public comments. We had a public comment from Jillian Lowe in support of PSC. And then from Bob Zimmerman with safety concerns.
All right, and under correspondence this evening, I also received as an email from Julian Lowe with Puget Sound Energy. And he wants to let us know that as a provider of essential service, they are working to ensure they are here for their customers, their community, and their employees as coronavirus impacts the region. They have not disconnected customers for non-payment during this time. They received approval from Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission for a waiver that allows PSE to waive late fees. They also have multiple bill payment assistance programs available to income qualified customers. And they will work with their customers on options such as payment plans and choosing a new bill date due. Last week, the Puget Sound Energy Foundation revised its standard grant program to allow more organizations to apply with a broader range of qualifying funding requests. This has been a challenging time for Puget Sound Energy customers and communities, and the PSA Foundation is seeking to provide more flexible support for organizations that are stepping up to help. We hope Auburn organizations will apply for these funds. Thank you, Julian. I know Julian was on the call tonight. Thank you, Julian, for sending that email today, as well as your public comments. All right, we will move to Council Ad Hoc Committee reports. Council Ad Hoc Committee chairs may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee's progress on assigned tasks and may give their recommendation to the City Council, if any. We currently have one Finance Ad Hoc Committee, and that is chaired by Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. As members of the Ad Hoc Finance Committee, Councilmember Stearns and I reviewed approximately 57 pages of claims and wire transfers that totaled approximately $2 million, and payroll vouchers totaling approximately $2.5 million. It should be noted that approximately 164,000 of these vouchers was paid to businesses, 126 businesses within the city during this time as part of the $2.4 million COVID-19 related CARES funding program. The committee recommends council approval of the claims and payroll vouchers for this period.
Thank you, Councilmember Baggett.
You're welcome.
We will move to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Do we have a second, Council? Councilmember Baggett.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the minutes of the July 20th, 2020 regular council meeting, claims and payroll vouchers as described by Councilmember Baggett, setting a public hearing date for ordinance number 6770, which is the DCT sewer payback agreement, and setting a public hearing for ordinance number 6771, also a date for a public hearing for a water payback agreement, and setting a public hearing date for ordinance number 6772, a payback agreement for the for street projects. And then, as was mentioned earlier, agenda modification to add an extension of the current virtual meetings being held by City Council. So this is also part of the consent agenda. The City Council to suspend Council Rules of Procedure 3.1H, 4.1, 10.1, 11.2B, and 16.1 that were amended on the May 27th, 2020 City Council meeting. And we are now looking at extending our virtual and telephonic participation meetings, including audience participation, including all committee meetings, until we reach the Washington's phase reopening plan under Governor Inslee's Safe Start for Phase 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, council, please unmute. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. Passes. All right, we have no unfinished business, so we will move to ordinances. Ordinance number 6775, an ordinance authorizing franchise agreement number FRN 0-0002 with Puget Sound Energy for their electric utility. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor DeCoursey. You're muted, Deputy Mayor.
Sorry about that. I move to approve ordinance number 6775.
Thank you. For the second, Councilmember Stearns.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. As mentioned by the mayor, this is Puget Sound Energy's application for a new franchise agreement to continue their operations for electrical transmission and distribution facilities within the city right-of-ways, as their previous franchise agreement has recently expired. And city staff has reviewed this and agreed that this is something we should continue with.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 6775, please unmute and say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5535, a resolution authorizing the mayor to grant an easement to King County across a portion of Game Farm Wilderness Park for river protection purposes. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Stearns.
I move to adopt resolution number 5535.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Councilmember Jayraj.
I second that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Stearns.
Okay, I'm unmuted. This resolution 5535 authorizes the mayor to convey a river protection easement to King County at no charge for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. The county has proposed to do some revetment work along the White River, and this work will be done around Game Farm Park and Stuck River Drive. The staff recommends conveyance of the easement at no charge to King County, and that's my summary.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions? All right, please unmute. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5539, a resolution approving the amended and restated interlocal cooperative agreement between the Washington State Patrol, Pierce County Sheriff's Office, King County Prosecutor's Office, and the municipalities of Auburn, Bonnie Lake, Federal Way, Lakewood, Tacoma, and Tukwila for the creation of the Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force. Is there a motion? Councilmember Stearns. Councilmember Stearns, you are muted.
Okay, there we go. I move to adopt resolution 5539.
Thank you. For the second, Councilmember Jayraj.
I second that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilmember Stearns.
The Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force is a multi-jurisdictional team of detectives who focus on the investigation and recovery of stolen vehicles. The task force includes detectives from area municipalities, as well as a number of Washington State Patrol detectives. The task force is funded by grants from the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority departments are not required to supply a detective upon this agreement. The Auburn Police will only supply a detective to this position when staffing and operational needs are aligned.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All right, if you'd please unmute. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. Passes. Resolution number 5540, a resolution authorizing the chief of police to enter an interlocal agreement with the King County Sheriff's Office. Do we have a motion? Councilmember Jayraj.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to adopt resolution number 5540.
Thank you. For the second, Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I second that, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Jayraj, was that you? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The King County Sheriff's Office seeks Auburn Police Department assistance in verifying address and residency requirements for registered sex offenders within Auburn. APD is willing to furnish the assistance and may incur an additional personnel and related expense in doing so. KCSO is willing to reimburse APD for its additional expenses in providing the assistance through claim reimbursement procedures outlined in the attached cost reimbursement agreement.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All right, if you would please unmute. All those in favor of resolution number 5540, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. All right, we have come to mayor and council member report. At this time, the mayor and city council may report on significant items associated with their appointed positions on federal, state, regional, and local organizations. We'll begin with Deputy Mayor DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. On July 22nd, I attended the virtual King County Affordable Housing Committee meeting. This is the committee that has addressed the issues of affordability and homelessness within the region. We had a very long agenda, a very long meeting, and a couple of highlights. Our Sound Cities Association caucus proposed a letter that we drafted to be sent to the mayor on behalf of the committee, requesting an extension of the moratorium of evictions. And we had a couple of minor amendments to our letter that didn't quite make it, but the letter was sent off by the Affordable Housing Committee to the governor, asking for this to be extended through the end of the year. So we'll see where it goes with that. We know the governor did do an extension. And what we are actually proposing as a caucus is to have this moratorium extended through March of next year. So we'll still be looking at that at our next meeting. And one other highlight of this, we received a presentation from Michelle Thomas from the Washington Low Income Housing Alliance related to the status of the current pandemic and rents. And a study that was conducted for the June rent status showed that for June, 12% of Washington renter households who responded to the survey were unable to pay rent. So out of the approximately 250,000 households who responded didn't make rent in June. And there's a huge disparity in who pays rent and who doesn't pay rent. Currently, there's about $301 million of rent debt in Washington due just for the month of June. And this was characterized also by race. So looking at Hispanic or Latino for that period of time, 24% were not able to pay rent. The Caucasian population, 8% not able to pay rent. The Black population, 42%. Asian population, 8%. And those that classify as two or more races, 3%. So the vast majority of our individual households who are not able to pay rent are the minority households. So again, these are issues that definitely need to be addressed in how we help those compensate for those who are having a difficult time. That's my report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I did sign, just so you're all aware, I did sign the contract with Multi-Service Center today to allocate over $125,000 to their organization to assist with rent during COVID from the CDBG COVID dollars that we received. All right, next we will go to Councilmember Trout Manuel.
I have to apologize, but you can't really see me very well, so I'm going to stay with the picture on. On Wednesday, July 2nd, I did a virtual with Sound City Association, troubleshooting with Jurassic Parliamentary, using the rules of Robert's Rules of Order by Ann McFarland. That was really helpful because it also helped me on how we should be doing our meetings. Just like if we were doing our meetings in council, we should dress up for our council meetings. We should not be eating. We should not be looking at our phones. We should not be texting. We should be very professional. And while we were doing that Zoom meeting, several people were on their phones talking, taking phones, muting themselves and talking on the phone. Some were getting up, some had their dogs barking. And so it really made me look at how we do our meetings. And I think we're doing pretty good. Then after that, on July 23rd, Thursday, I attended my Sound City Association King County Regional Law and Justice Committee. That was a very long committee meeting. We had the sheriff from King County come and talk to us about their police force analysis system, which the King County uses. And it showed from January 2014 to December 31st, 2019. It covers a lot of stuff, a lot of data, a lot of issues that are reported. And they said, if we want to look, or if you want to look at the whole report, go to kingcounty.gov/department/sheriff. They talked about, they work with 81 agencies throughout the region, and it was very informative. Then we had a panel of 3 people. One of them was from the Seattle Police Accountability, called OPA, Investigation of Force Director Andrew Mayberg. He covered about the use of force policy, and then how he's working with the other lady, Lisa, I didn't get her last name. Anyway, she's the one that proposed the Initiative 940, holding police officers accountable. He also talked about there was 68 cases which that were complaint involved allegations of improper force and de-escalations. Out of the 68 cases, 13 of them result in substance finding and disciplining. Then the next person was from the Criminal Justice Training Center, Sue Ra. She also talked about how she's been working with these 2 other groups on how to work on bringing in more training into the police, into the criminal system. And that is my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Baggett.
No report this time, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Stearns.
Hi, thank you, Your Honor. On July 29th, I attended another meeting of the RIA 9. And this meeting, we talked about the updated salmon habitat plan. And we're going to be able to bring that to the Watershed Ecosystem Forum for approval at the November meeting. We also got a report on the draft budget for years 2021 and 2022. And as you can imagine, because of the pandemic, right now the plan is to have the budget maintain a status quo and support the same level of work as this year. And we also discussed legislative priorities, and the big one is to retain current operating support to all salmon recovery groups. They also noted that there's continuing work on identifying fish barriers. And I just report that King County is, I'm pointing this way because there's one over here where I live, and it's a culvert. And just to report that the Green River Road is out because King County is replacing a culvert, which will make it easier for salmon to migrate and hatch. So that's really good news. And anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Malinga.
I have nothing to report tonight, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Jayraj.
I don't have anything to report, Your Honor, but I would like to say social distance and wash your hands and mask up.
Thank you very much. All right, so just a couple of things from me. This evening, we did have a few people in council chambers for the first time since the end of February. It was to honor the 5 young men who risked their own personal safety on July 18th to come to the aid of King County Deputy Elliott as she was driving an unmarked patrol car home at the end of her shift. She was flagged down in Auburn near East Valley Access Road for a very intoxicated male who had just caused a multiple vehicle collision. Deputy Elliott and the male had a little bit of a conflict, and the intoxicated male had thrown the deputy to the ground. The young men stepped in and helped to save Deputy Elliott. The gentleman the suspect had his arms wrapped around Deputy Elliott's neck, put her in a headlock, and began squeezing. And so the group jumped on the suspect and struggled with him as Deputy Elliott was able to get free. And they held the suspect down until Deputy Elliott could handcuff the suspect. So tonight, King County Sheriff Mitzi Johanknecht, our Auburn Police Chief Dan O'Neill, and I were here to honor those 5 young men with certificates and gifts of appreciation. The King County Sheriff's Office also created in Sheriff Johanknecht's first year in office a commendation that is the 3rd highest commendation, and that is awarded by the King County Sheriff, and it is also the highest honor that is awarded to a civilian. Each one of those young men received that tonight. Their families were here. I will tell you that everyone was socially distanced out in the audience, and everyone was masked up. But these young men are exactly who we should be honoring, and they did a great thing without regard to their own safety. They went in to help an officer, and Deputy Elliott could not be here tonight, but Sheriff Johanknecht, on behalf of Deputy Elliott, shared how much they appreciate the fact that they still have Deputy Elliott. It could have been much different, but for those young men willing to step in and risk their own lives. And so every now and then we do get to do something great like that, even amidst COVID-19 and the social distancing. These young men deserved to be honored. When Chief O'Neill told the young men what night we were going to honor them, one of the young men said, "Is there any way we can do it on another night? It's my little brother's birthday, and I don't want his birthday to be about me." We did wish his younger brother a happy birthday this evening, and I'm sure they are going to be out celebrating now. But I just had to share what great young people we have in our community at a time when some are pointing fingers and saying that the youth in our country are not in a good place. I will always beg to differ and say they are our future and we must support them, and these young men deserve to be supported. The other thing I would like to talk about is exactly what Councilmember Jayraj was talking about. It's wash your hands, mask up, and safely social distance yourself. And even if you are at home with someone who is has an immunity or has their immunity system is compromised, please consider every safety aspect you can in order to keep our loved ones alive. Every day on the King County website, they provide the daily numbers for COVID cases. I want to share with you and compare what the King County average is, all of King County versus what the city of Auburn numbers are. So tested in King County overall, 304,242 tested. That's 3,713 more than the day before. And the rate per 100,000 residents is 13,665.8. In Auburn, we have had 7,829 people tested, 94 new added to that number since yesterday. But our rate per 100,000 residents is 10,913. So we are lower by almost 3,000 per 100,000. Of those tests, those who came back positive in King County overall, 15,634 positive cases. And that is at a rate of 702.2 per 100,000. In Auburn, the positives are 898 at 11.5% of all tested. And King County, that's 5.1% of all tested. And our rate per 100,000 is 1,251.7. So we are almost double the positive rate in the city of Auburn. Hospitalizations countywide, 1,983, and that's 12.7% of all positive cases have been hospitalized, with a rate per 100,000 of 89.1. In the city of Auburn, we have had 108 hospitalizations. That's 12% of all positive cases, with a rate per 100,000 of 150.5. Again, almost twice King County average. And deaths due to COVID-19 illness, of those hospitalizations, King County wide, 656 deaths. That's 4.2% of all positive cases at a rate per 100,000 residents of 29.5. And in Auburn, we have had 18 deaths. 2% of all positive cases have resulted in death, and the rate per 100,000 is 25.1. So there is only one statistic here where Auburn is better than King County as a whole, and that is deaths due to COVID. So when we continue to tell everyone, mask up, stay safe, stay socially distant, it is because the numbers in South King County and specifically in Auburn are worse than they are as an overall King County number. That's not acceptable. Auburn is better than that. Auburn deserves better than that. And that is why we will continue to nag at you like your mother or your father might, because we care about you. We want you to mask up and stay safe so that we can look back on these times a year from now and everyone is still alive to look back on those times. So we have no need for an executive or closed session tonight. So council, thank you very much. We are adjourned.